Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about franchise and what that is. The definition of the franchise business model is a contractual agreement between two parties known as a franchisor and franchisees, where the franchisor grants franchisees the rights to operate a business using a franchisor's established brand, business model, and support in exchange for a fee, royalties, and adherence to certain standards and guidelines. Franchises are commonly seen in various industries, from the fast food to retail, and allowed individuals, franchisees, to own and operate their business under an established brand and proven system. For those of you who perhaps interested in owning a business, I would highly recommend taking a look at some of the franchises. And it's a lot easier to receive finance to start a franchise compared to perhaps traditional business. Just any takeaways that would be, as well as if you would start a franchisees, everything's already set up. You don't need to reinvent anything. You just need to follow given standards. So this should be very simple, I guess, to some extent. Just find a really good location, if that would be retail business or perhaps food operational business. Just find a really good location and don't mess it up, I guess. It's more, there's definitely more to it, but hopefully you have some knowledge over the years, as well as you some understanding what you're doing. Overall, I would definitely highly recommend for everyone who haven't done it or haven't started your business but you are planning of doing it. Perhaps if you were to begin manage your risk, and if you were to start a business, perhaps consider starting a franchise. Uh, just coming back to some of the points that I mentioned before, then looking at technology readiness level, you would work on prototyping. You work on prototyping and you keep developing your business to the point where that model works. Once it works, it's about level 5, level 6, and then you need to start scaling. When you start scaling, you might want to bring different businesses, a number of different businesses who might use the same model and implement it worldwide or perhaps even domestically starting with, and slowly progress. But that well, might be different business people who might be interested in operating that particular business model. And it can be very centralized where you might own all intellectual property to that business model, and from there you only lease some of the intellectual property to other businesses to scale and manage those operations, which might be interesting. Historically, the concept of franchising has long history dating back to ancient civilizations. Let's take a look at some of the key points and of franchising. Uh, Ancient times, franchising can be tracked back to ancient civilizations like Rome Empire, where individuals were granted rights to operate business such as inns, taverns, and retail outside in exchange for royalties and taxes. Middle Ages. During the Middle Ages in Europe, franchising was used as a way to expand the distribution of goods and services, with monasteries granting license to others to operate mills, breweries, and other enterprises. Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution in 18th, 19th centuries brought about the change in franchising. However, it was still relatively informal and less regulated. 20th century, the franchise model as we know it today began to take shape in the early 20th century. Companies, uh, those names I cannot mention, but there are quite a few companies, popularized the concept of granting license to independent operators to replicate the business models and operate the same business and following the model given. Post World War II boom, the franchises model expanded significantly. Growth and popularity in the past World War II era with emergence of fast food chains that most of you perhaps heard of, where those food chains perhaps begin, at least most of them within US, and they start scaling and expanding in different territories, regions, countries, with adoption on franchise-based expansion strategy. If you were to rent any facilities, especially right now during challenging time, the one that be picked up and shadow banned, but yeah, during challenging time, if you were to pick it up currently, and if you're looking perhaps what opportunities are up there, you can try to see what kind of facilities you might be able to rent and what prices that would be. And if you were to start any operations within those buildings, some of I think it's public information that some of the cities within UK would be able to offer you great locations, somewhat great locations, depending on what you can bring to the table. They might be interested to give you a location based on what kind of franchise you might be interested to run in the city. They might give you free of charge lease within 6, 12 months within perhaps great location. And the city just taking note. It's just my own personal research what I did, but perhaps these kind of conditions not limited only just to UK, since I have seen other opportunities within US where some people who are landlords of large complex that they might, if you have established rent, if you haven't got established rent, they might be interested in perhaps giving you some terms or conditions within agreement or to build your client base for 4 months, 5 months. Once you build your client base, then you can actually afford to paying a rent. It's just in the beginning, then it might be kind of challenging time, I guess. For those of you who currently within your particular task, wherever you might find yourself, you might find a little overwhelmed with what you have to do right now. Perhaps you might begin with your personal time and how you're managing your own time, how you're managing your own finances, how you trying to figure things out currently. Uh, I would definitely recommend to have this particular tool, how you would structure your own time and where you begin. If you would start from your personal life and slowly increase your responsibilities to your professional life and how you're managing your professional time, perhaps improving your education, your understanding. Once you improve that, perhaps you might be interested, if you save a little bit of money, perhaps that's a good way to think about things. Then you can increase your responsibilities and take on more challenging uh, businesses, roles, taking on more responsibilities, right? I would highly recommend to have this tool in your toolkit. You can find it in a link in the description, as well as top retailers have it. Understanding a franchise business model is important for several reasons. Where you are considering becoming franchisee, exploring franchising as a business expansion strategy, or simply seeking understanding the broader business landscape. Entrepreneurial opportunities that you should consider that might come with having a franchise. Uh, so scaling, right? So how the if I have to sell this business model to you, right? So you just need to understand, I guess, how you can scale your time, how you can make most of your time, and if you were to run any of the particular restaurants. I have all qualifications to do that myself. I definitely consider doing it. So perhaps then I could share a little bit more information. But other than that, uh, if that would be required of you, just try to imagine how you would scale, how many business can you run, and how you can develop that business, and how you can grow your income, and what will be returns for running a restaurant. I would definitely highly recommend to perhaps reach out to particular restaurants, and perhaps ask them if they can send you a contracts, and you can take a look at those contracts and make up your mind, and at least you having those processes in place and have some understanding how much that might cost, as well as what they might offer, as well as what you would need to bring to the table. If you can just step back and see that money coming in, or you would be micromanaging that business, and just some of the things that everyone should think of. I'll try to do my best touching on some of the important facts, as investment and risk assessment, business expansion strategies, legal and regulatory compliance, financial planning and budgeting, operational excellence, brand management, strategic decisions and decision making, customer expansions, industry insights. You might want to have a business partner to do that as well. You can reduce your risk by doing that if you are new, or if you perhaps would like to reduce your risk. You can always bring more people, and not necessarily just yourself. You can do a profit sharing as well, and have those operations done perhaps not necessarily just by you. If you currently have a really good corporate job, you might be interested in perhaps taking some of those capital coming in and reinvest that into perhaps one franchise. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next one.